fellow hunters of the night, and welcome to a no-death run of Haunted Castle Revisited. This no-death run video is going to be a little different from my typical videos of no-death runs. I decided to kind of wing it this time rather than, write a lengthy script and, add trivia and things of that nature. I know people like that stuff, but when I do that, it takes me extraordinarily long to release these videos. So I thought I would kind of just go off the cuff, So, I absolutely love what Konami did with this game. Remaking Haunted Castle Haunted Castle is one of those games that most people haven't even played. So, for Konami to choose this game for a remake, it just absolutely shocks me. But I'm totally for it, This whole segment with the falling pillars is entirely new. It wasn't in the original Haunted Castle. I kind of expected a boss to, like a mini boss to appear there, but that doesn't really happen. But still, it's interesting, right? A lot of this is actually in the original, the monsters coming out of the trees. In this version, you can't actually attack the tree monsters. You kind of have to just time them, I guess, and then just proceed. I guess it does save you a little bit of time. I do prefer the idea of being able to attack them, but I mean, if you just move along, it's fine, right? And there's Simon's battle with Medusa. She has a whip strike. She has like a tail strike, like a claw attack. The snakes that come out of the ground. So they gave her a lot more variety in her attacks, I guess. She's not extraordinarily difficult. Just back off and attack her. Watch out for the snakes below. Easy peasy. I noticed that this actually drags on a little more. So this song here is actually called Lullaby of the Devils. At least that's what they call it in the soundtrack, in the modern soundtrack. I don't recall what they called it in the original Haunted Castle. It might have been the same name, I don't know. For anybody who's played Haunted Castle, you're going to notice right away that the way these the ghosts spawn from the skeletons is entirely different. Ordinarily, you have to duck their attack, whereas in this one they kind of track you. So you have to goad them into missing. So, kind of stand somewhere and have them aim for that spot and then just simply move out of the way. So, for anybody who's played Castlevania Chronicles, it kind of gives me that vibe here. At least the look of the rocks in this kind of reminds me of Castlevania Chronicles. Although this game entirely gives me it gives me Castlevania Rebirth vibes. If anybody hasn't played Castlevania Rebirth, this is very much what Haunted Castle would be, you know, with a taste of Castlevania Rebirth, you know? I accidentally found that meat right there during one of my playthroughs. After my initial playthrough. Actually, my initial playthrough was live and it's on the channel for anybody that wants to see my first experience with the game, my initial reaction. Obviously, I had a lot of good things to say about it. I was super stoked. And this is something I actually thought was really cool that Konami did. When you kill this enemy here, it forms a stairway. And they actually extended the level a little bit here. Like, this whole segment here is completely new. And I neglected to mention it earlier, but the boss is actually lurking in the background there, and you see him in the prior screens as well, or at least the screen before. So you know, if you observe the background, he's there, and that's a really cool detail that Konami decided to add. You know, they didn't obviously have to do that. They could have just left the backgrounds as is. But seeing the boss lurking in the background was just really, really cool. And these guys aren't nearly as aggressive as they were in Haunted Castle, or in the original Haunted Castle, rather. In the original, they move faster, and when they split off, they actually fall towards you. So you have to kind of sort of constantly back off to kill that enemy. Or if you're fast enough, you could just, you know, run past him, jump over him as he's spawning. But yeah, pretty cool difference there. I believe there is a reflection of Simon Belmont in the water. I think it was Lit Gaming that pointed it out, actually, during my live playthrough of this game. Let's see if he pops up. I'm pretty sure I'm going to reach the ground here. I remember going back down there, obviously, to face the boss. There's some health there. There it is. There's a reflection. You could barely see it, but it's there. That's pretty cool. You know, I don't recall the name of this boss, but I mean, it's obviously some kind of skeleton serpent. That's a pretty cool, you know, effect that they added. When you attack him enough times, his head becomes the tail and vice versa. You know, ordinarily, you rely a lot on the stopwatch to get through the majority of the game. But I noticed that in this game, the stopwatch isn't even available. So the stopwatch is not here. The bomb isn't either. And you'll notice that Simon's third upgrade, rather than it being a sword, is just another variation of the whip. It's like a longer range whip with a timer, so you don't even get to keep it permanently. And heck, if you get hit, you lose it right away. The background is also different, you know. In the old game it was red and ominous, and this one it's not. I guess I kind of like both, you know, for different reasons. If there's any song in the Castlevania franchise that's played out, it's this one. Does that mean that it's not a good song? It's definitely a good song. But, you know, it's not my favorite. This level is not as hard. Well, I mean, the game's not as hard. Right? Like, compared to Haunted Castle, this game's pretty easy, but I noticed that there's this whole segment where you get put in like another dimension or something like that in the original Haunted Castle, and you face 3 harpies. They removed that from this version. That whole segment is not here. Yeah, right there I was on the fence about picking up the boomerang, but actually the boomerang's really good against those axe armors, so why not, right? This whole segment here is new. They added it. It's not in the original Haunted Castle. Something that I wanted to mention, actually, falling into pits in this version of Haunted Castle, in Haunted Castle Revisited, does not automatically kill you. You don't die. And admittedly, I did lose a few runs by falling into the pit. Or, well, I guess I technically didn't, because I didn't die, right? But knowing how some people can be, like, you know, real sticklers about those kinds of things, I decided to just, that was actually a lucky shot. That was pretty cool. I decided to tell myself, hey, if you fall into a pit, it does not count as a no-death run. And I don't know why I did that to myself. I guess it's just to shush the naysayers, I guess, right? I don't know. I believe the axe armors in this game take 5 hits. Heck, I don't remember. I just kept whipping until they died. I didn't really so much keep track. I think it's 5 hits, and if your whip is powered up to that temporary power, I think it's 4. For some reason, the harpies in this game sound like cats when they die. Thought that was really strange. Really strange. And I found, yeah, right there. I found that meat right there behind the eye in that section of the level. That's pretty helpful. If only to, you know, guarantee myself the success of beating the boss here. Or at least, you know, bettering my odds. Because the boss in this level is he's kind of tricky. And right there I was actually trying to jump over the axe, but instead I accidentally jumped into it and grabbed it. I kind of just saw it for what it was. I said, well, the axe is not a terrible sub-weapon. And in the background, actually, from that stained glass, that knight actually was the original version of the knight that you face in Haunted Castle. In here, I noticed that they changed them. He's way more interesting here. In Haunted Castle, he kind of just bounces, and I don't know, you just gotta whip him until he dies as he's bouncing around. All while flea men are just jumping at you from both directions. It's a pretty annoying fight. This fight's a lot more manageable. Yeah, that little section, or that little bit of his attack there where he spins around you is, you know, took a little bit of getting used to, but once I got a feel for him, it wasn't too bad. FYI, there is actually a Castlevania short in my channel, or on my channel rather, of the Stained Glass Knight. So if anybody wants to, you know, see where it came from, I think it's a pretty interesting short video. In fact, I would strongly encourage everybody to check out those Castlevania shorts. They're only 1 minute apiece, and I talk about trivia from the franchise as a whole. Definitely, you know, worth your time. At this point, most of you would notice that at the start of every level, it gives you the stage's name as well as the song's name. I think that's pretty sweet. I hope more Castlevania games do that in the future. You'll notice that the mummies in this game are unusually large. They're not just tall, but they're just large all around. I call those the shack mummies. I I guess they also kind of have like a similar build to Andre the Giant, but I'm just gonna call them the Shaq mummies just because it's easier to say, I guess. I don't know. I really appreciate how true to the source material Konami remained with these levels. Like, some of them have, you know, small new areas, and others are near identical. The game's definitely a lot more accessible to people as opposed to Haunted Castle, which is like a really unforgiving game in terms of the damage output from the enemies. I can tell you from experience that the timer runs by really fast in this game, and if you stop to smell the roses, you die. Well, you die. You run out of time. But, you know, seeing as that I had already experienced this game live, which, again, if anybody wants to see my reaction to this live, it's on the channel. I was able to just run through it a lot faster this time. I want to give a mention to the 21 Sandwich and Thumb Brothers for, you know, no death running this the original Haunted Castle along with me. It definitely gave me, you know, it was a fun experience telling them about the no death run and then having them share their sentiments with me when they went through the game. Unfortunately, I still haven't seen Thumb Brothers upload his run. I don't know if that's got to do with maybe, you know, technical issues. Maybe something happened and he lost his video, but maybe one day I'll see it. I also would like to mention Megadan29. I know he's really passionate about this, you know, the original Haunted Castle. Both him and I really enjoy the game, and it's funny because as an arcade game, it's actually quite terrible, but as a home console game, it works very well. And I say that because the arcade version, you know, from a business standpoint, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to give people limited continues. But, you know, in the home console version, you know, there are a lot of games that give you limited lives. You know, so there are even games out there that only give you one life to play through the whole thing, which, I mean, that's definitely not ideal, but it is what it is. And this boss here has been dramatically improved. This golem here. If you've ever played the original Haunted Castle, he flings mud at you in a straight line, and it's not always avoidable. You know, there are times where he throws it in such a height that you can't duck or jump over it, and you kind of just have to accept the damage. Which is why I strongly encourage people to just farm for hearts. Just, you know, save hearts aggressively, because they do translate to health at the end of each level. Whereas in this game, that's not the case. You just have your life bar, and when you finish the stage, they replenish it for the next level. And yeah, the design of this boss is really cool. I love the changes that Konami made to this boss. You know, kudos to them. It turned out really good. And at this point, we're nearing the end of the game. We're down to the last two stages. It's a pretty short game. Maybe like 30 minutes, 30-40 minutes for an average run. Whereas, you know, somebody with experience who's willing to just run past the majority of the enemies, I wouldn't be surprised if he can knock this game out in like 20 minutes. And I have to mention that I really love the way they updated this little scrolling segment here. Ordinarily, it goes up super fast, and you can't really anticipate the platforms that are descending behind you. But in this version, you can. They give you ample time to get away from the enemies, which they've added, by the way. They added all these bats and skeletons and stuff. They did a really nice job. And seeing the chains hanging onto this lift is a nice touch too. And, you know, even though I'm not at the boss yet, I have to mention how excited I am with the updated version of the boss in this level. Like, they did such a great job. I was so excited when I was playing this for the first time. And just seeing how they incorporated one of the deceased characters in the background, or just, I guess, immobilized is a better word. Seeing as that, you know, a lot of the Castlevania enemies are deceased, they're a bunch of skeletons. But yeah, overall, this level is a lot more manageable in this version. And, you know, I think that's great, because a lot of people are put off by the difficulty of the original Haunted Castle. And this gives them somewhat of an experience, you know? It's almost like a retelling of sorts of the game. And, you know, with a lot of aesthetic updates and just really cool changes to the boss battles, you know? But yeah, I'm gonna mention it at least twice. You know, I want to give a shout out to Sanctum Startorum for the amazing artwork, Castlevania-related artwork he volunteered to make for me. Like, if you look at the bottom left there, old Pugsley there, he's Richter Belmont. Peppercini, who might be, you know, renamed to Puppercini, we're still trying to decide that, is Alucard. And then we have Sus Penguin beside him as Saifa Belnades, and the evil Chihuahua as Dracula, naturally, you know, because Chihuahuas are evil. And up there by my camera, you'll see Omega Tonight, I guess we'll just call him that right now, as Grant the pirate, or the thief. I forget whether he's a thief or a pirate or what they refer to him as in the game's canon. In Castlevania 3's canon, I should say. And yeah, you see that they made such a cool update to this boss battle with the I actually forget the name of the doctor. Well, actually, it's Dr. Frankenstein. I'm so stupid. They made an update to Dr. Frankenstein on the right side there, rather than him just simply being an immobilized, you know, background character. They actually brought him into the battle, and I thought that was a really, really amazing touch. It made the fight so much more exciting. Kudos to Konami for that, because that's got to be my favorite boss fight in this game. And yeah, we are reaching the last stage of the game. They made dramatic changes to this as well. Ordinarily, it's just a collapsing bridge, and you just have to keep going in a straight line, right? Or, you know, which, by the way, I would typically handle with a stopwatch. I would just freeze time to avoid all the spawning enemies. Whereas in this level here, in this variation of it, we have, you know, more platforming, like this little segment right here. That's a scary jump, let me tell you. And, you know, this enemy here that was turned into a stairway, or staircase? I don't know the difference. Just a lot of new additions to the level. Really, really cool stuff. So yeah, they definitely, you know, had creative liberties with this game, making a lot of big changes to it, but I welcome those changes. They did an awesome job. And here's a funny secret I discovered. I believe it was like on my second or third playthrough. I threw an axe and I noticed it caught the candles up there. And then that led to me looking for that staircase, and, you know, once I found it, I just did it just to show you guys, I guess, because that is a reoccurring secret in the Castlevania franchise that actually spawned from a glitch in the Famicom Disk System version of Castlevania 1. I might actually make a video on that sometime just to show everybody. I don't know whether I want to make that in the form of a Castlevania short or simply a regular video. I guess we'll see. And yeah, this boss fight, let me tell you, is super scary. I tried my best to manipulate the daggers, but every so often, he kind of spreads them out in a way that makes it nearly impossible to dodge. And this part right here, dude, has got to be the most difficult segment of the game. God, this is hard. I can't stress enough how overwhelming this is for a newcomer. I mean, to be fair, I've only played through the game a few times at this point. So, it's something I was still adjusting to, but just from the initial impression, dude, it is a shock. And after a few runs, I came to realize that taking the cautious approach and trying to dodge everything, and taking my time is a horrible idea. Of course, you want to dodge everything you can, but you want to attack that orb aggressively, because if you don't take out that orb, he's going to do you in. Which he almost did in this run. It was such a close call. But yeah, from what you can tell there, you can actually attack the heads on the side. The two on the far left and far right, by the way, you can walk into and take damage, so you have to sort of stay in the middle. But if you whip those heads, you can temporarily remove them from the battle, which, maybe for some people that'll be the better way to go. But for me, that was I was more determined to just take out the orb. And here's an interesting, revised ending here. Aesthetically, I should say. And, there's Simon with his wife, Selena. I don't know why they went with that name. Maybe the creators of the game were fans of the music artist, I don't know. But that sums up my run. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Omega Ace Gaming, hunting the night.